Boom. We're off. Okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Monday Night Call. Good to see so many smiling faces on here tonight. Takes a few clicks to scroll through and see everybody, which is always a good sign. So we're getting stuck into week 5 of the 6-week sprint. So I wanted to jump straight into it, and we got to get into the end of the 6-week sprint. Some people have jumped on board sort of partway through, but whenever you get to the end of, I guess, anything, whether it's a 90-day game plan or a 6-week sprint, there's always like one of two things are happening. Either you're charging towards your goals with ease and joy, or you're looking like, things, or just get everybody to mute their lines if I could. Sorry, I forgot to do that at the beginning. So basically, what are some tips from you guys around really following up and closing, and really we're at this point and we could go and really sort of, I guess, hustle and make these last 2 weeks count to hit our goals? Or what happens to a lot of people is they can drop off in the last 2 weeks. So how can we do the former, really make sure we take advantage of these last 2 weeks? So in that, how would you be sort of following up, and any tips around closing and getting people started?
Absolutely. It's a great question, and my heart is actually racing just listening to that question, because basically it's what it's all about. In a successful business, it's what it's all about. It's about reaching budgets, reaching targets, and it's the way it is to get this thing off the ground. So, so it's week 5 of week 6. So by now, every one of you are looking at what you anticipated in the 6 weeks and where you are now. Some of you might be just sitting cruising and thinking, we've done well. So people will then slow down, making sure they don't overshoot what they said. It's a mental thing. Whereas in actual fact, when you're going really well, exceeding your targets, you should really be putting your foot down to the accelerator. This is it. When things are going well, it's where you push even harder. Not when things are going well, you just back off because you're happy with where you're at. So that's a very, very important mindset, that just think about, as we're going through these things, think about, where am I originally? Nobody's judging you. Nobody knows exactly what you put out. Some of you have given us your goals and want to be accountable, but only you can't cheat yourself. Really, we're going to be talking, there's going to be a few words that you're probably going to think, oh, wow, I couldn't imagine non ever saying things like that, but it is a fact. Some people say, this is when you see that side of red come out of me, because it is a fact. And if I was to say to you, just, it's going to happen, and, don't worry, I would not be authentic. I would not want this for you, and I would be robbing you from your mindset. Understand that this is, once again, it's the same steps as you going for executive. It's the same steps as reaching your goals. It's the same step. You're doing it for yourself, not for anyone else. At the end of the day, in 2 weeks, this is our second last week. How are you going to shop? When that day comes, I want you to start thinking about it. How are you going to feel when that Monday comes and you didn't make your target? How are you going to feel? Are you going to think, I'm not going to tell anyone? Or are you going to feel, well, maybe it's not for me? And are you going to think, well, it's okay for them because of this? And, I've had this happen and this. You've got to first be 100% responsible for where you are right now. You have to feel that. You've got to say, wherever I am right now are decisions of my past that have led me to where I am now. It's a fact. Be 100% responsible. Think, okay, do you know what? I could have pushed more last week. I could have. Instead of, watching the Premier, I'm talking about soccer, the Premier League or whatever's like that, maybe I could have just postponed it and really have made that extra launch party. This is where you get down and dirty, and you've got to be honest with yourself of how exactly are you reaching your expectations. Are you really putting yourself off, and maybe even putting off some social events till after this 6-week sprint? Do you know what I'm saying? We've got 6 weeks. So how extraordinary are these 6 weeks going to show up in your life other than any other 6 week? What have you got to say? Remember those 6-week sprint that we went from this to this? Do you remember how many people actually joined our team in that 6-week sprint? What is going on in your head at the moment? That's what I want you to think about. Are you feeling, I'm pretty happy with myself, or I'm feeling a little bit disappointed that I could have done more? Maybe I should have followed up more. Being 100% responsible how you end this 6-week sprint. And sometimes it isn't always pretty. It isn't, but it's the way it is. It's the way it is. And it's not just in this incredible profession of ours, it's life. It's life. When people always say, oh, if only I had of. No. Don't go through life saying, if only I had of.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So it's more...
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
That's like when you do your list in the morning of things that you need to be done and stuff like that. This is Dave's list.
Yeah.
Do you go through it? Do you go through it, or do you not have a list?
I mean, that's so important. I mean, today is the first day of the next 2 weeks, of the last 2 weeks you have in this sprint. You're going to make the most of it. You know, you're all on the call, and it's so fantastic to see that. And we always say, hey, you want to see the people who really want to do something in this business? Have a look at the people who are on the call. Have a look at the people who are making the phone calls. Have a look at the people who email you with questions or text you with questions. They're the people, and you're the guys that are on the call. You're the guys that we really want to help with this.
And I'm just going to say, without mentioning names, there's a guy here who got married on Saturday, and he's on the call. How about that? Yeah, I can't mention
epic.
Epic. You can't mention names.
No, I can't mention names.
I can tell I've just gone red.
No.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. You know, some people are saying, yeah, I just can't make it tonight or whatever, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. But how does that show up to your commitment to the next week, 6 weeks, to the next 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's up to each and every individual. You can't even say your partner. You've got to do the do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it's more like just having that mindset shift, regardless of where you're at, whether you're kicking goals and you're on target or you're not. It doesn't matter, taking that same approach and just being like ruthless for the last 2 weeks. And I guess moving on to some specifics of how you might be able to do that. Do you know what I mean? At the beginning of this, or when people start, they write their list, they've got their stuff, they're following up with people and all of that. But specifically, and I think that's something that people are learning to leverage, is the UK. We talk about it a little bit. But in this last, I guess, especially 2 weeks, like how can people specifically leverage that to maybe get that extra 2 or 3 signups, or to create that extra consultant, or to get those little things happening that will be the difference? It's that slight edge, that little bit. So how could we leverage what's going on in the UK in that launch with leveraging our network here?
This is what we totally believe the best way for you to be leveraging the next 2 weeks before the actual opening of the UK is connecting with your team or your members or your friends or family and inviting them on a Zoom call with us.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just saying, because we're going to be there. Well, Dave's actually going to be in Birmingham with his family, but I'll be there with Heather. And so, you know, we can meet and greet and everything else like that. But first of all, let us share what is happening on a Zoom call, like a face-to-face over a coffee or whatever. That is the best way. And, you know, we can do that at any point. We don't need to have a group together. If you have one person, a family member, fantastic. If you have 3 family members or 3 friends, fantastic. It doesn't matter because we're here. We're only an hour away, time-wise, with UK. So it's really great. This is the time that, you know, let's plug them in and just saying, this is what's happening. This is, you know, the explosive growth that the UK has had so far. Have a look at this. Send them a few links. And even if they may not be ready right here and now, I'll connect with them when we get there, if we can get them over. You know, I know that the event is sold out and people are looking for tickets already, actually. So saying that, but
yeah,
it'll be fantastic. Yeah.
Great. So if we organise a time with you in the next week to be doing that, and then we can sort of get all our new people and all the people that are here that are on doing it, and really, you know, the next week of IPA, I guess that's another. And the way I've been looking at it is it's an excuse to either follow up or it's an excuse to reach out with current cleanses and all of that sort of thing.
And even the cleansers, now's the time to start asking questions. Who do they know in the UK? This is the time. The next week is really getting out of your comfort zone. Maybe reaching out with people that you may become friends with on Facebook and asking the questions. These are all the things that that are going to trigger all those muscles that you need to use in order to, from ordinary to become extraordinary in working with people and everything else like this. Just asking the question, get yourself out of your comfort zone and just see just how far you'll go.
You know, I mean, we've been more excited with the opening of the UK and Europe than we have, I think, at any other time while we've been involved in the business. And there's a good reason for that. And the reason is, particularly with the UK at the moment, you know, we're opening into a market that is the same culture, the same sort of sense of humour. We got the same language. There are so many similarities between Australian culture and the UK culture, and we have hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people probably in Australia with their roots in the UK. They're everywhere. You know, we've got a massive UK and immigrant population, and here's an opportunity to contact the people and look in your own downlines, look in your own teams, look in your circle of friends, look in your business acquaintances, look everywhere, because I absolutely guarantee you that there's lots of people there with UK roots and saying things to them, hey, our companies, there's something really exciting happening with our company at the moment. We're a multi-billion-dollar company opening for business in the UK, and you can be part of it if you like me to show your hand. I mean, here's the opportunity to do that, and it is really, really exciting for us.
And knowing that the UK is just the stepping stone for the rest of Europe, so that's what's really exciting. You could even make that a night when you get together with a few team members and contact all those say, who do you know? Let's have it as a group tonight. Let's make it a UK blitz, getting people to get numbers and stuff like that of their team, and then maybe give them a call and just say, because our company has expanded, we waited a long time for this opportunity because it is the stepping stone for the rest of Europe. Are you free on this night to get on a call and just hear some people who'll be heading over there who are part of the opening? Something simple like that. They'll either say yes or no. They might want to come, and then they might have family members who it may not be for them, but it could be for someone else. When you get 19,000 people that pre-register, it's sort of a bit of a clue where the UK is as far as welcoming and waiting for a company like Isagenix, you know, and you just have to see the massive rank advancements. Have you seen everything that's been happening in the UK? 4 stars, 4-star Crystal Executive. in the first week, that gives you a hint of how the UK,
opportunities that
the
are there.
opportunity, and the mindset of the English people.
We touched on the numbers, I think last week or the week before, but 60 million people in the UK, maybe 65 million people, including Scotland and Wales. 65 million people are thereabouts, but another 450 plus million people in the rest of the EU, which is the next, after the stepping stone of the UK, that's the next stop. And again, all of these people, all of these nationalities, they're all in Australia. Guaranteed, every single one of them is there somewhere. So look in your team, look in your groups, look in your friends, look in your business acquaintances. They're there. I can absolutely guarantee they're there.
Yeah. And to me, that was when we were talking about your friend from Poland, that was exactly what, working with that community in Australia first, sort of, it's only a matter of time, Germany, a very, very powerful market that is going to be opening up. And so just your list. And that could be a fantastic, like a blitz night when you get together with your team, writing down all your markets.
Where we're from in Perth, there's whole suburbs of POMs.
Up the northern suburbs. It's fully. I'm about to join a gym up that way, just for that. And I guess the thing for the guys on the call now is, I guess, hearing and feeling that posture. Because if you've got new cleansers that are looking to share, they might not have the posture to be talking about a multi-billion-dollar company that's launching internationally. But that, I guess, the point is they don't need to. And if I'll figure out a date and time that works for both you guys and the West Coast, and we've got quite a few East Coast crew on here as well. And we'll definitely lock that in the next week to make that a bit of a focus for this week. Because I've had a few conversations with people this week about leveraging that UK. So that would be fantastic. And again, linking it back to the 6-week sprint, it's a very big way that you could finish strong and create momentum with that.
Yeah, and realise, as I said, that today is the first day of the next 2 weeks. Yeah. Get into it, set new targets, higher or whatever it needs to be, move towards those goals. Said as you're talking to people and as you're going through different income producing activities that you need to do to get this thing really motoring. One of the things that we've always done is have the lists. We have the list of people that we're going to contact the following day. We have that list and we methodically work through that list and actually do it. And anything that's left over just simply gets carried over to the next day.
And do you know how wonderful it feels when you go through that list? I can't tell you. It's the most euphoric feeling when you've done what you said you were going to do that day. And it's, once again, it's just, it is such a great feeling. The other thing is, sorry, darling, the other thing is that I want you to think about is that when you're training for an event, you're going to be doing, say, some big, say a Tough Mudder or whatever it is that you're doing. What you put in your heart and soul building up for that event, don't you? You're going to give it your all. And the day comes, and I'm thinking of our sons with things like that, and they're covered and there are numbers on them, and they, they're battered and bruised by the end of it. But they prepared. And that's what it's like in life. For everything that you do in life, you prepare. Everything you have to prepare. We've got 2 weeks. So this is the time now that you're going to get down and dirty. And like we say, showers and sleep are overrated because at the end of the 2 weeks, how are you going to show up? Have you broken some barriers within yourself as far as personal growth, about finding out about people? This is what I'm saying. You get out of your comfort zone. It's where all the juicy stuff happens. You learn so much. What you thought was an easy street, maybe, and that would be good, but then again, you're going to find out things that you never ever saw coming. But that's life, and that's business. It just makes you a very, very successful entrepreneur. It prepares you for the big stuff. You know, learning to grow into millionaireship is very important. Like, it was one thing that we were is even showing people how to manage $1 million. This is why the step is so gradual, because it's preparing you to become a multi-millionaire. And your mindset has got to be different. Do you agree? Thumbs up if you all agree. You've got to have that respect. You've got to have to know how to be savvy. Think of all the big multi-entrepreneurs, amazing souls, but exactly what goes through their head when they do a business deal. Think about it. This is what I want you to start thinking. So the next 2 weeks is the preparing you to becoming a millionaire in this company. And what are you prepared to do? It's just a taster, right? It's euphoric. Trust me, it is euphoric. When you finish the 2 weeks, and that afternoon after that, treat yourself to something wonderful, and then you're on your path. We can do another 6 weeks. We can do for whatever.
Yeah, we'd
but
like
it's
to carry
very, we will definitely be
Yeah.
carrying these on, because this is, the little nuggets that someone can ask a question and everyone can relate. And why we say this is because we're relating to when we were there, when we were doing, and we still do this, because it's part of what we do in order to build. Is just like, it's just what you need to do, how you look. One little interesting thing, and I want you to think about it, once again, it's without any judging. When sometimes you give a team a challenge, did you notice, any of you notice how many people didn't appear on the next call because there was a challenge? And that's okay, and because it's never ever, we throw a challenge, but no one has to be, but it's an interesting thing how people then just think it's pointed at them and they will back off. Do you see? I want you to see these things, because it's just the way how one people sees, another people will take the challenge, another one will make excuses, another one, and it doesn't matter, because everyone is in this on their own, everyone's the CEO. And being accepting and saying, wow, okay, when you're told you have to be 100% responsible for your actions and where you are, I struggled with that. I've got to tell you, I argued with myself for over 2 weeks, saying, no, I cannot, no, I refuse this, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't until I had to really peel the layers and get absolutely vulnerable and say, yes, I could have handled that better. Every action has a reaction. Be 100% accountable for where you are, what you're doing, and how you're moving forward, and what are you prepared to do to break the boundaries.
Yeah, I love it. And while we're on it, or just before we move on to the next question, can I just get a comment from everybody? Just write yes if you would leverage a UK like opportunity webinar. If Dave and Irene were to make time in the next week, and for us to get new people on, I thought that might be sweet. Beautiful. So we'll definitely make that happen after this. We'll suss out a time. Beautiful. Awesome. I'm ready to go and get to work, but there's a couple more questions. The first would be, what I'd love to hear, there's a lot of people sort of getting started, and like we talk about exec, and I know, Irene, you talk about exec a lot and the importance of it. And we've got the fast track to exec, and I guess we know the steps and all of that, but I'd love to hear from you guys, maybe whether it's the last person that you helped hit exec, or maybe it was just one that stands out in your mind. But how they actually went about it. Like, and I know there's no secrets or anything like that, but I think, I guess give an insight into the daily do that was getting done in terms of people they were speaking to, all those sorts of things, like the urgency, all of that sort of stuff, just to give a bit of insight, because there's a lot of new people getting started at the moment that are coming in and they're like, okay, I'm ready to go. Show me where to go. And it's like, if your business has been sort of maybe plateaued for a little while, when you get that injection of energy, sometimes you don't know what to do with it, like how to get people started fast or how to show people the way to exec. So maybe, yeah, if you guys could give some insight into some specific examples around that.
Yep. I have, once again, it's different for everyone, you know. Our business is
surprise.
Yeah, there's going to be people who will just say, yes, I am eventually going to get to executive. There's people that start and are only coming in as customers for the product, and then things change and then they want to run with it, which was our situation. Then there were people who right from the beginning love a challenge, love the to be edified, and love to be seen up front, and they're just going to run, right? They're going to run to it. Then there's going to be people who initially going to be resistant. They're not going to want to be told or want to show that that executive is important to them, so they're going to go at their own pace. However, this is why people do our industry, is because they want to do it their way. So some people will want to be coached, some people don't want to be told, and you've just got to edify and just go along with whatever people are saying. Do you agree with me, team, that everyone's different? And you might see the greatness in them and just say, come on. And then the more you say that, the more they back off. It's people. It's got nothing to do with you. It's people. So, but, you'll get those absolute rare diamonds who are jumping out of their skin, and they are going to go hell for leather. They're going to break all boundaries. And what you see that they do is that they're prepared. They ask for help. And for the next few months, they're sort of virtually in your living room with you, because they are just gonna. It's like you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it together. So they ask their team, they tell their team what they're doing, and they're asking for help. So these people haven't got, they're not vain, they haven't got an ego. Well, everyone's got egos, but they've got a healthy ego, and it's a vulnerable ego to say, this is what I'm doing, will you help me? And will you have a launch party for me? And will you have a launch party for me? And people, if they would be prepared to help other people, then doing it for themselves.
I mean, one word that they all have in common is activity.
Yeah.
Activity.
Yeah.
You can see they're doing something, they're speaking to people, they're making their lists, they're learning the profession is another thing that you see straight away. They're really, really interesting. They understand that this is a profession, and they understand if this is a profession, then to succeed at it, you're going to be a professional. And they're prepared to go out and watch the videos multiple times, to learn about how it all works, to read the books, to listen to the tapes, to watch the videos. They're prepared to do all of that, and they enjoy doing it because they're working towards a common goal. They understand that to have the posture that you need to have in this business, as you grow into the business, in the first 3 to 6 months, I'll tell you now, excitement is going to get you through it. We call it ignorance on fire, don't know anything, but then we're just going to go crazy anyway. But as you grow into it as a professional, then in that posture there, you start to become knowledgeable. You can really help people at so many different levels, because you have the knowledge and you have the posture to do that. But becoming that professional in this profession is just so, so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I think the big thing, the word that stands out for me from what you guys have just said there is proactive. Like the people that have been there, they're coming to you, they're asking for the help, they're doing the things. And I don't know whether you guys agree with this or not, but we talk about creating execs, and I can't remember who said it, but they said, and they have created about, I think it was about 8 execs at the time. And they said, I haven't created any execs. They were execs before they came into my business. They're either going to do it or they're not, kind of thing. And not spending too. Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in that, because I'm of, motivational speakers. I'm of the opinion that you can't really motivate anybody. True motivation, real motivation, always comes from within and not from without. You can really help people to see the cause and to see something to get motivated about. You can really help them on those levels. But I think that, motivational speakers motivate people for 2 or 3 days. What we need is a continued internal motivation burning away, and that desire to succeed is there. And you can really help people with the knowledge and with the expertise and with everything else. But if that inner motivation isn't there, then it's going to be a struggle.
And Peter Kelly put it across so brilliantly at Celebration. Events can't motivate you; they make you thirsty. So you come along, want to be there, but they make you thirsty for more, to go searching and everything else. But honestly, some people would rather do something for someone else. Say, for example, I'm going to use someone, say if Paul was going for a rank advancement and he asked Paul Donahue to have an event, and Paul would then say, I'm hosting a launch party because to help Paul Whitehead. You do it, wouldn't you, Paul Donahue? See, you do it, and it almost takes it away from as though I'm having this because of something that I'm going for. But if you're helping your friend, people feel it's easier. It's just a tricky mindset. It's only a mind, that does things like that. But whatever you do is getting out of your comfort zone and knowing and identifying that simple thing. Come on, let's face it. This is what I want for my family, so I'm going to be asking for help. These are the lessons that the universe is constantly throwing at you. You're having to get out, and also feeling a little bit uncomfortable at times, but you get over it, and you get comfortable living in being uncomfortable.
Earlier on, Tully, you mentioned income producing activities, which has always been a big thing with us. This is something people really need to understand and really need to put into place. And that's one rule that we had. We always did income producing activities every single day, something to move our business forward. But it's understanding the difference between income producing activities and non-income producing activities is really important. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Coming on this call today is not an income producing activity. It's a learning experience, it's a training. Phoning somebody else, calling somebody else and getting them onto the call, with a view to maybe coming into the business, that's an income producing activity. Making a list of people to contact is not an income producing activity. Calling the people on the list is an income producing activity. And is directly going to result in people joining you in the business. That's an income producing activity.
Yeah, amazing. And what percentage, I know the rough percentage that Kathy Coover talks about is 80% of your time should be income producing activities. Would you guys say you strive for that, and the reality of your business is that, or it's more
certainly when we were building the business, every day, as we said before, we had our list from the day before, what we had to do that day. We'd get up and we'd start working through that list, and that's calling people, contacting people, inviting people. Maybe you came to some of the Tuesday trainings that we had, so maybe ready for that training meeting, but we're always doing something.
Yeah, and I think at what point do you, if you're working with someone, just because this has come up a little bit in conversations I've had in the last few days, and people are like, they say they want it, or they say, yep, they're, you know, ready to go. So you obviously, to build a residual income, duplication needs to happen in your business. So you do need to work with those people and help them do that. At what point, like, do you guys have any, I guess, deciding factors, or are you guys getting better at discerning who's actually going to do something and is worthy of your time versus who's not?
I wish I had that skill, Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd love to have that skill. The answer is no. You can't tell. Because one of the problems in life is that anybody can say anything. Anybody can say, I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to do this. I'm going to fly to the moon. I'm going to be the number one person in Isagenix. The only thing that's going to tell you the true intent of anybody is their actions. Actions speak louder than words. That's an old proverb that's so true. So true. Yeah, you know, when people tell you that they're going to be world champions, listen to it and endeavour to really help them to achieve that. But actions really, at the end of the day, is what's going to point you towards the true champions in this business.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm sure that a lot of you would have come across this. You get people who, and you might get people from other network marketing companies. You might get people from professional people, and suddenly you're in awe of them, and you think, oh my goodness, this is going to be incredible. And then down the track, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Jim Rohn says, once again, my big mentor, what you're looking for is people that are motivated and are broke. And that could be just people, when you say broke, is that people wanting more. Motivated people that want more. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Someone who's prepared to do what other people aren't prepared to do. They are everyone that you look that is massively successful all started that way.
Yeah.
You need to learn these skills. You need to learn these skills, everything, like all the hardships, all the wondering and everything else, in order for you to be massively successful. Even when you initially, if you had another traditional business and you had a whole boardroom of CEOs around you, you know, not all of them are going to stay because you didn't have the same values, because they didn't bring to the table what you actually thought they were. They didn't have the company at best interest. Maybe they were doing something dodgy. It's people. It's people. It's dealing with people. So when you're in a profession like this, when you're dealing with thousands of people, you do become a little bit more savvy because only you learn not to prejudge people at all. Actions speak louder than words. When somebody says something fantastic, you just say, I always say to myself, we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope so, but we'll see.
Anna Richards always uses that one as well.
10,000 people now in the group. And I can tell you that we've had people come through who we thought were going to be world champions and didn't. And we've had people come through that we thought, you know, were just going to be product users maybe, and they turned into world champions. You can't tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome. I love it. And we've just had a couple of questions come through in the chat. So the first one is from Nick. Hey, man, how you going? So Nick's looking to get started in the next couple of weeks. He's a good example of a young kid that's got that proactive nature about him that we were talking about. So his question is about, I guess, approaching people when you're just getting started. So he's starting in the next couple of weeks. Is like, what's the most effective way to approach people when you're really fresh, especially because he's coming on board for the full vision. And I know the Lovies have got a few young girls that have got started that are on fire. So this question will probably be appropriate for them too. But when you're coming on board with the vision, what's the best way to share that with people around you, especially maybe if you're young, so the people you're sharing it with might be a bit older than you and that sort of thing? How would you go about it? Would you leverage the people around you, or use tools, or what would you suggest for them?
Well, to begin with, Do you know, Nick? Don't hold back, because they say, you know, it's enthusiasm is far more important than knowledge. Just you know, if you've seen the picture, just say to them, you know, in the next couple of weeks, I'm starting on this journey. I'm so excited about it. I don't know a great deal about it, but I've seen what's been happening and what I've been told about it, and I really think it's for me. Then I would definitely suggest at this point in time is that you sit down and watch a video with them, and then reach up to somebody and get somebody to help you talk. You know, it's a fact. You don't want to hold back. People talk about vomiting on people when you first start, and I think you need to get that spew up, quite honestly, because I do. You can't say you don't vomit, because it's there.
Yeah.
Once you do it, you have to do it, because it's just enthusiasm. It's that, you know, all that stuff happening inside of you that wants to go bleh.
We've seen that, haven't we? And so often, you know, people go through, really successful people go through the first 90 days plus just on enthusiasm and motivation and excitement. And they're excited about what they can see. And when you're excited, people can see that. People can sense that. People know that, wow, something's going on with this guy. And that makes them want to talk to you and find out what's going on. And at that stage, you know, you don't really need all that much in the way of knowledge. It helps if you've got it, and you should really be studying that. But more important than that is the actual that you are internally excited about what you're doing. But get the people in front of somebody in your upline, maybe. Might be us, might be Charlie, might be
anybody.
Rory, could be anybody that has their experience to help them through the steps and answer the questions.
And going back to that initial enthusiasm, you know, people will come along because of you. People who come along because they trust, they see something, and in that initial stage when you're really excited, don't hold that back, because people who come along, they won't know what you're saying, honestly, but they'll follow you. And we used to say to people, you know, say to our team, we have got incredible products in this company, and if it wasn't for these incredible products, I don't know, you know, where you'd be. However, the real product is people. That's our real product, is people. And people will come along to you, Nick, because they see as something different in you, and they've been struggling, looking for something. Suddenly they'll see a light in your eyes, and they'll come along because they trust you. They don't know what they're doing, but they're going to come along, and that's how your team, you'll grow together, because they'll just see that there's something different. There's a vision in you that they've seen that they haven't seen before, and they'll follow you because of that.
And, you know, Nick, one sentence for everybody on the line, whenever you're talking to anybody or talking to anybody who's prospective to come into our company, the one sentence I can give you: find out what they want.
Yeah.
Because if you find out what the person wants, and we're a solution-based company, so if you can find out what they want and then work out how you can give that to them, you know, through our company, either in a financial way or a health way or whatever it is, then that's where you're going. So find out what people want. And the only way you can find out what people want is by asking them questions. And at the end of the day, questions are the answer in this business, because, you know, if I've seen this a lot over a period of time where people try and get people to join them in the business because of their reason, their own reason, you know. They say, hey, come on board, you can earn $1 million. It's fantastic, you know. With a person, you'll be able to leave your job. Where the person actually loves their job and money isn't a big motivation for them, but they can't sleep at night, or they've got no energy or whatever. And some people never get to find out those things. We're a solution-based company. Find out what the challenge is, and then we can help them with the challenge. So number one thing, ask them lots of questions, you know, find out what we can do for them, and don't try and impose our own reasons for doing the business on other people. Find out what they want to do.
And then vomit on them.
The thing is as well, Nick, you know, like we're talking about Nick as Nick's name came up. I know
the central attention.
There's a lot of young people, and so many of you are in the Start Group. And don't forget how the Start Group started, just with a vision of you young ones changing the world, you know, questioning the status quo and all that. And it's that culture that started this movement. So, you know, don't forget, plug into all the things that are happening around the young ones, you know, and just see the life that they're living now. My goodness, everyone, I'm just thinking, is there anyone left in Perth? You know, everyone's around, you know, doing extraordinary things. And so, yeah, just, you know, enthusiasm is far more important than knowledge, all those sorts of things. And, you know, when people look in your eyes and they see that there's a twinkle, when you know yourself where you're going to be in the next 12 months, that's enough for people to come along. That's enough for people, you know.
And just remember, it's a relationship business at the end of the day. You know, we're forming relationships with people, and we have relationships with people still that joined, that we didn't know them, and they joined us 10 years ago. And we've still got, you know, they're still close friends 10 years down the track. This is a relationship business. Mm-hmm. And people will join you in this business if they know you, if they like you, and they trust you. Know, like, and trust. Those three words, and that's so important. So form the relationships with people.
Yeah, love it. Great question, Nick. Good job, buddy. We just had one question that we're going to wrap up with now, and this is a good one as well. So what do you guys do to help build resilience in team members? So say somebody's getting started, they enroll a few people, but the people they enroll just are a bit half-assed, don't really do the system properly, don't really get results, and then maybe drop off. How do you build resilience in people if they're having, you know, a tough time with their enrollees and it's getting to the point where it's a bit hard work?
Start with that?
Yes.
Okay. Once again, a really, really good question, because it just takes you way back. So it's how you set your, how you communicate with your personally sponsored person. This is, say, for example, I sponsored you, Tully, and these are the challenges that you're having. So basically is when we start building, it's the conversations I have with you, just saying, understand, it's, you know, 80-20 rule. People will come in, exactly what we've been talking about this, but having those conversations. You're like letting them know that not everyone that come along is going to do the program properly. And also it's your language with the person. You know, you've invested the money in this program. Stick to it as much as you can to get the results. You can commit in 90 days on the program, a minimum, which is a full blood cycle, in order for you to get the best results. So it's going to be the language that you speak with them. If you're half-hearted, they're going to be half-hearted. If they see an energy in you and just saying, you know what, we've got meetings happening and we're going to go with this. This is such an incredible company. I feel it's changed my life. I feel great. You know, I want you to get those same results, but I'm prepared to meet you wherever you are. We always say to people, you know, if you jog, we jog. If you run, if you sprint, we'll be sprinting right next to you. You can't make people do anything against the will, but you can set the energy in the conversation and in the, you know, it's how you follow up with them. How are you going today? Wow, yeah, that happened to me. I know, but I promise you tomorrow's going to be better. And do you know what? I've got a couple of people coming over tonight. Why don't you come over? And, you know, it's how it's the energy and it's the vibe that you're putting out there that people are going to say, wow, okay, I've got a bad day. I can call Tully. He's not going to mind if, you know, how it's going to be. I always ask people, how do you want to be contacted? Do you want me to text you? Do you want me to call you? How do you want me to? Some people just want to be left alone, and that's okay. But I'm here when you need me, and or might just send you a text, once a fortnight, how you going, or something like that. Meet them where they're at, and suddenly you might know that they might be the ones that have suddenly moved in with you because they've seen this vision, they really like it and whatever, and we're going to run for it. So it's that sort of thing. It's right from the beginning. Your team will have the energy that you do. Remember, we say monkey see, monkey do. The speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. Understand there's going to be the people that you may think were going to come along with you, but they were just there to teach you a lesson along the way. Some people aren't going to join you and are going to be part of your life forever. They came along because you were meant to learn a lesson from your acquaintance there. Maybe you had to learn to live with how to deal with disappointments. Maybe you were meant to deal with what people say isn't exactly how they're going to do it. Maybe these are the lessons that you learn along the way, but you will learn those lessons. You'll learn the ones that you think weren't going to be supportive of you, we're going to be supportive of you. And the ones that you thought we're going to have your back, maybe you got a stab in the back. These are the lessons that you learn along the way in order to prepare you for the big stuff, Yeah. And you'll keep on getting those lessons until you finally say, okay, now I don't want to do that anymore. Some people will keep on getting, because you're going to be always responding the same way. And the universe is saying, no, she's still not listening. Do it again. Nah, a slow learner. Do it again. Do it again. Until you think, right, now I get it. It's not going to happen again. Hello, move on. This is understand the lessons that you have to learn.
Yeah, I love it. And I remember Melinda Kahn talking at ICUni in Perth about this, and about changing your posture from please somebody sign up with me to actually qualifying people for your time. And she won't enroll anybody that won't get on the phone with her. If they're just like, just sign me up, here's my credit card, she won't enroll them because she knows they're not going to get the result. So it's actually having that posture of qualifying people for your time. And if people aren't actually ready to start 30 days or 9 days or whatever they're doing when they start, they're not going to get the result, and it's going to take energy from you rather than fill you up. So it's like just having that posture switch. It's like, we've got the gold, qualify people for your time, because your time is valuable, as if everybody on this call isn't busy. And that took me a long time to do, that posture shift, because you want it for people more than they want it, and it's like give, and it's just exhausting.
But that's part of becoming a professional in this profession. Just remember that the people that say no and the people that believe, they're the ones that build your character. It's the people that say yes and the people that stay that build your fortune. So who do you concentrate your time on? It's unfortunate when your business is small and you get a couple of people drop out. It's really noticeable. But trust me, you hang in there, because as your business builds, as the numbers build, mate, you're still going to get people drop out, but your business will be such a size you won't even notice. So, and if people do drop out in that early stages, you have to look at yourself and say, did I do everything right with that person? Did that person know me, like me, and trust me? Did I have a relationship with that person? Did I ask them the right questions? Did I find out what they really wanted to get out of this business? Did I then work out the best ways to find it for them? Did I find out the reason why, the absolute reason why they wanted to do this? And was I helping them to move towards the path to achieve that why? Did I ask them, what are you prepared to do? And the answer, when you ask anybody, what are you prepared to do to get massive success in this business? The answer should always be anything.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that's a great note to round out the call on. We've just hit 7:30 or 7:30 Perth time anyway. That was an absolute bomber of a call. That was epic. Thanks, guys. And thanks to the guys that asked the questions as well. That got a lot of fruit from that. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Well, I'm going to stop the recording there. And everybody, if you want to unmute,